Hello and welcome. This is an episode of 1980s. I'm just walking down to Queen's Crescent. This is an area, near where my dad grew up. So my dad used to work on a stall when he was a kid. I just wanted to come down here and have a look at this, another of the interesting shops that's on the street here. So this is called Rogue's Quarter, and it's a role-playing game shop where you come in and you're able to play games with your friends in the shop. So I might be wrong, but I feel like this is quite an American idea. Like in the 80s when I was playing role-playing games, you go down the shop, buy the role-playing game. About a year ago or so, there was I was reading in the local paper about the challenges they had, because I think it's just things like the local council rates, business rates are so expensive, and what can the business, for example, Rose Quarter, get out of it? Really, it's very difficult to make a profit, I'm sure. I think a lot of the younger crowd who go in there, I think they probably come down from Kentish Town and that sort of area. But fantastic that it's here. It just made me think about all the shops that I used to go to. Luckily this one, I think it's still there. It's still standing. Good year and a bit after it was, made me think about how there are so few role-playing shops nowadays. So this is a great addition, as I said. It's been open for a few years, and I think it does very well at the weekend. But I remember in the 1980s, they were all over the country. It was just such a great thing for young people to, basically kids, be able to play. And after a large amount of research, I managed to find my Space Oddities. That's where I worked. I worked there for about a year or so, just painting figures. So I used to go down there at the weekend. I think what happened was I think I started off at Games Workshop in the early 80s, and that was a long, that was a proper hours journey on the train and the tube to get there, and then I think by this time they were bringing in a lot of Warhammer 40,000 I think had started, and had absolutely zero. I used to go to a few other places in Central, so Virgin. There was just a big variety of them all over the place. I think Orcs Nest was the newest one. That was by far the newest one. That came just when the tail end when I stopped playing. And that's still there. It's still in centre of town. So that's brilliant. Whereas Games Workshop is just Warhammer. That's where they make the money. And so coming here was fantastic, and it was just a real experience. It's a really good experience. Painting figures for the boss. She was a very very short lady, and she was just marvellous. She just sort of ran this place called Space Oddities. It was in Chalk Farm, fantasy, but space science fiction based. But it just really suited me, and my friend Rupert, he just absolutely loved travel as well. So we were focused on that, and both me and Rupert. And it was a very large space. It's you go in. I think from what I can remember, there was like a very narrow market down the right hand side, and we had the entrance access to the building on the and then we had access to the shop on the left hand side, and then you go down some stairs into this open basement area, and it was just fantastic. Really light, really just tons and tons of you just wanted to buy all of it, and we had no money. I had no money to buy more than the Sparrow Marches or the the latest story that come out from America, because it was all American, like Traveller was American, so it had to be like sent over, and it was just so exciting, really exciting, and I have to say, like at the end of the shop, where I think there was sort of like windows looking out, I think, I remember there was light coming in, so I think there was like sort of, it was a basement with the design was like you had like windows looking out onto the street. This is the street level here. I think there's probably some like windows at the front here, and you'd come in this way, I think, down some stairs, I think, and then you just have all around you just have these bookcases just full, bookcases just full of science fiction, adventure. I think I remember quite clearly, like on this side they had like sort of new ninja and samurai role-playing games that came out, and but there was a lot of Traveller, a lot of sci-fi games, and then my boss was I think it was around here. I think this is where you pay, around there, and then there was some stairs that came up to this mezzanine space here, and just really just amazing, just what a treat. Every time we went in, it was just like just so much so overwhelming, really, and just really good, so you sort of make your way around. So you start this way, and then you just sort of intersect, because there'd always be new things that would come in, and new books and new figures and that, and then at the end, like after you've done all your shopping, you come up here, and they used to have all these like I don't know how to describe, like naughty sci-fi magazines, and with like sort of naked people and doing rude things, and it's just so exciting when you're a teenage boy, so I never bought any of the magazines from here, but you'd always have a look, but I was too embarrassed to actually to buy one of the magazines. But when the role-playing game Middle Earth came out, I bought that as well. It was interesting because I think it was one of those games where you can, chop off limbs, and it's actually in the descriptions, like when people take damage. So that was interesting, but I didn't really get into it. It was just very much Traveller, really. But as you can see, so much has changed. But I was just really grateful to actually find. I think it took me about 2 years. I think I was looking. I looked through all my old magazines to see if I could see an advert. I couldn't remember the name of the company, and then, as I said, it was just wonderful just seeing online someone had sort of collected together a load of gaming adverts, and Space Oddities was one of them. So this design is for my memory very good, but hopefully I'm able to share the design, because there's nothing about Space Oddities anywhere. I've looked online. AI doesn't know what it is, so I think after this you had Belgo's restaurant, and then after that I think it was like a music venue, and it's like closed down now. So a lot of changes here, a lot of changes in the past obviously as well, and you can still see the cranes are still out, so the changes continue. But Space Oddities, fantastic shop, one of a lot of really good shops. I keep forgetting Forbidden Planet as well did have like sci-fi sections where we used to go, magazine based at that time. But but really glad to be able to talk about Space Oddities for a bit, and thank you for listening. Bye for now.